So the trouble lies when we start looking at all of this from an energetic perspective is our current ascension, which I taught you all. We are all ascending. We're lightening up on this planet. And because this ascension is taking place, we can thank the Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Capricorn generations for this lovely occurrence. Now, mostly Scorpio. And I mean it in the most loving way possible, but and I'm going to explain this all to you in detail in a moment, but they aren't in Scorpio energy is not interested in let's prove that we're all bigger and better and prettier like generations prior to us. And that's really what the generational impact was, right? And so the Scorpio energy is open more to looking at the psychology of things and the darkness and what wants and needs healing and transformation that was ignored for so long. Okay, they're interested in winning, but now the winning has moved as into a team sport. So not just winning by yourself, but winning as a team. And so the question is when you look at the planets, how do they get revealed in the planets? Because we hear the boomers, the World War II, the boomers, the Gen Xers, Gen Y, Gen Z, the millennials, and we start going, well, how did they make these up? So we can all thank Pluto for this fabulous generational shift, but that's all it is. We're making up names for them, but basically we can thank Pluto. So I want to give you guys a basic of what happens in the sky so you understand how the energy kind of drops down and trickles down onto the planet. Okay, so what happens is I want you all to imagine that here's the planet Earth, or sorry, the sun. And then all the constellations of stars are around us, and those are the constellations, and then the planets orbit around this sun. Okay, so let's just I brought you guys a little photo so y'all can see. Okay, so let's just imagine here's the sun, and here are 12 sets of constellations up in the sky, and this is space. We'll just say this is space, okay? That's how basic this is. Now let's add to this, and we're gonna go, okay, here's the sun, here are all these constellations, and then here is Pluto. And let's just say Pluto is up here, and it takes 15, I wrote 15s in here. So it takes 15 years to move through a constellation, through Cancer, then it takes 15 years to get through Virgo, then it takes Leo, then Virgo, then Libra, then Scorpio, then Sagittarius, and then here is Pluto right here where it is sitting and is gone every 15 years and is sitting right at the end of the constellation of Capricorn. That's what's happening in the sky. It's about to move into Aquarius, okay? So now let me simplify this a little bit more for you. So if you were looking up in the sky and you were waiting for Pluto, you'd have to wait for Pluto to take 15 years to get through a generation. And those are the generations we're talking about. So if we simplify this and we go, okay, well, the generations that we have to kind of work through, if you have a circle on a piece of paper and we start with Cancer and we go back to the Cancer generation, when Pluto was in the constellation of Cancer, that was your 30-year mortgage group. They had a white picket fence and they all lived in this home for 30 years and they were going to retire there, and that's where they stayed. They were big families, and it was family unit. This would be your grandparents and maybe your parents' grandparents. Okay, then we move on to Leo, and then Pluto moved into Leo for 15 years. Now, guys, I'm not going to get you into the specifics and details because sometimes it's 14 and a half years and sometimes it's a little off. I'm not going to give you dates or times. You know who these generations are in general, but let's just think of it from that perspective. I'll give you, it's like the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s ish, but I'm not going to give you specific dates or we'll run out of time doing astrology. And this is not an astrology call. I'm trying to get you guys to understand what's happening in the sky. Okay, so then Leo opened up and Pluto went into the constellation of Leo for 15 years. Now Leo was the more generation. I want more. I want more. Leo is the sign of the child. Then what do children want? More. So they had more babies, they had more houses, and they had more things, and they started this generation of more. Now what happened is because of this more generation, wonderful, they thought, well, if they only have one house, we're going to have 3 houses and 3 boats and 3 this, and they have a lot of money. They made a lot of things. They made a very successful life of themselves. But the challenge with the boomers is that having more, this was the first end of, I'm going to say the 70s, when you start seeing divorce start. So that 30-year mortgage, the married forever, stay together, shifting now. Now we're going into the end of the 70s where this Leo generation, I should say the boomer generation, what happened is they started getting divorced. This was the beginning of it. And so then they moved into the Virgo, and now Pluto has moved 15 years later and it's moving into Virgo. Now, when it moved into Virgo, this was about your 80s, and now they were the boom breakers. Virgo's a sign of perfection and the virgin, and everything had to be simple and simplified. You're going to see a lot more people who are never married and have no kids in this generation because they were lessening the amount of things to have. Yet, the challenge with this group is this was the start of smaller families. Now you're starting to see where this boomer generation was still from this earlier generation where we had support from aunts and uncles and siblings that were large families, and so siblings took care of you, or you had resources to rely on, right? You had more people to rely on. You could go to your aunt's house after school and you still had their cousins and people around you. It was a communal energy, so you still had support even though parents may not have been there. Okay, so this was still a supportive energy. You played in the neighborhood and all the kids played together. We all had a lot of support still going on, but Virgo energy started lessening that because there were less of them. Less of the kids, I should say, being born. So then it moves, Pluto goes 15 more years, right? And so you can see here, we've got it moving through Cancer, and then it went through, am I putting this back? Yeah. Then it went through Leo, then we went through Virgo, then we hit Libra. Okay, and now Pluto is creeping around, and here's Pluto. It's moving its way through the sky, and it's moving down through each of these. Then Pluto hits Libra, and when Pluto went into Libra, Libra is the sign of beauty and balance, and it created unbalanced families. Why? Because guys, I want you to understand this was like the 90s. So now we got to look at the 90s of energy, okay? And again, remember, I'm not giving you specific dates because it really doesn't matter, but these families are, this generation of 15 years is the most divorced generation of all the generations. And the reason I bring that up is because this is the group that started breaking the family unit up so much that the kids were so independent, they started going into their own shells because they had to maybe go not just with one relationship, but then it was 2 marriages, then it was 3 marriages, and it was 4 marriages. And there was this lack of union. There was this lack of, I can't just stay here with the group of kids that I've always grown up with because now I got to go to that family, and that one's across town, and that one's over here. And then they were separated out. And now they weren't with the relationship of family that was home and nurturing. So I want you to understand how we're starting to break everything apart here. Okay, so as much as we saw all this happening, this was the most remarried 90s group you could possibly think of. Okay, then we moved into Scorpio, and Pluto was in its happy sign. Everybody has their own planet. Pluto goes with Scorpio. And so now this group said no to everything. No, you are not going to ignore us anymore, and we're going to say yes to us, which is why they are the least, this is the millennial group that you're looking at. The end of Libra, the beginning, and throughout Scorpio, you have this millennial group. And so this is the group. So your Libra group was your Gen Xers. Now we go into the Gen Y. Why do they call Gen Y? Because they ask why. Why is it this way? Why do we have to do that? Why? Right? Which is really great. They always thought it was, the change of to the year 2000 and the change, and it's not really so much that, it's more this group came in and they're the sign of Scorpio, which rules psychology, which rules the darkness, which rules secrets. And this group basically broke everything open. So this is your breakthrough group, okay? And they started saying yes to us. So they started saying no more marriages, but still they have really healthy, long relationships that they're in. So they're just getting married later. You're seeing them getting married later and longer. It's taking longer, that kind of stuff. Okay. Then we moved into Sagittarius. And then that 15-year window went back and we said, okay, now Pluto moved into the sign of Sagittarius down here. All right. And so now we're in Sagittarius. This is most of the high schoolers that are graduating at this point ish in the next year or so. I'm not on my dates. I did not put dates on all this for you. but you're seeing all the high schoolers and these young adults that are moving into college. These are your Sagittarius group. This is the winning and opportunities and learning group. So this group right here is going to basically give you the cure for cancer. They're going to give you the cure for everything. They're very smart, they're very wise, they're very talented, and they're very winning, opportunistic group. They're very smart in science and technology. The funny part is the little younger kids that are in school right now, probably about ninth graders, 10, 11. That's where Pluto is right now. Sorry, flip this around. Pluto is right here sitting in Capricorn, and that's the group. And we're sitting here, we got about 4.5 years left, okay? And that's where Pluto is now. Okay, so Capricorn is about new structures, revealing non-truth. So what I'm sharing with all of you is that's what happened. These are generations. So people say, well, how'd they get these generations? Who made the names up for them? Xers, boomers, all that. When we look at it from a planetary aspect, you can watch where Pluto moves. Pluto will set up. Now, why do we call it Pluto? Because Pluto is the planet of regeneration. And Pluto marks generations with sex, death, and regeneration. So whatever Pluto sits in that sign, it breaks more open. So of course, you know, when Pluto went into Leo and you had the boomer generation, that's the sign of children, and it made lots of children, right? So it regenerated a lot. When we come down into Capricorn, it's regenerating truth, because the sign of Capricorn rules truth. So it's revealing a lot of truth that was kind of pushed down below the surface on prior generations. And remember that not everyone learns at the same speed, with the same tools, or the same experience. I have an all events page that you can learn at your own pace with videos, tools, my live events, my upcoming TNT coaching, as well as Spiritual Warrior Academy. I'm going to leave a link down below for the all events page if you're interested. I really hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, please be sure to go down and give it a thumbs up, as well as subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you get notifications whenever I post a video. I post videos every single weekday on body, mind, spirit topics and tools. There's also more of these affirmations and information on my Instagram, so join me there at ideserveitnow.com is my website, which I have a ton more tools, or I Deserve It Now is where my Instagram is. You can follow me on both platforms and or both. I would love to see you. All the links, all my programs are all there for you to enjoy. Brightest blessings. Have a great day.